the salesperson asked if I wanted him to be my sugar daddy.
Oh my God.
And $500 a month and 24% interest for
Oh.
5 years.
Ooh. Ouch. You just bought a $200,000 Mustang.
Millie makes songs, hey, I made this one. Jerry builds bikes and they go real fast. They're mental defectives.
Welcome to the Mental Defectives Podcast, a show where we interview interesting individuals with a focus on addiction and mental health. I'm your host, Milligram. That's Millie if you know me, Mr. Graham if you know me. Joined, as always, by the Howie Mandel of Harleys, the gearhead with the heart of gold. It's Mr. Jerry with G.
Glad to be here.
And today we have a very special guest. She is a sober woman, artist, jeweler. She's had songs written about her by both George Michael and Limp Bizkit. She's single-handedly putting Zales and K's out of business. It's Faith.
Hi.
Faith, how's it going?
Great. How are you guys?
Doing well,
Good.
doing well. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Where are you from?
So I grew up in a little town called Butler, Ohio. It's not even a town, it's a village.
Even better.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So we had one stoplight, very country. Everybody knew each other. Very long driveways, that type of deal.
I like it. When was the first drink?
Okay, so first drink wasn't until my 16th birthday, the actual day of it.
Nice.
Night, I guess. I hadn't really gotten into anything like that. Like, I tried to smoke a cigarette, like, when I was 15, and it didn't work out.
There's a learning curve.
The first cigarette always sucks.
Yeah. And then, but, like, that's crazy because, like, the first drink, you get drunk. Whether you black out or puke or whatever, you're still getting drunk. But, like, the first couple cigarettes, I feel like, get you nothing except, like, a coughing fit.
Yeah.
Until you figure it out and then get,
Right.
like, the little nicotine buzz.
Yeah, that's true. Well, pot is kind of the same way, too. Like, I didn't get high the first time I smoked pot.
I can't remember if I did or not.
Anyway.
I think I ended up staring at a wall.
So the night of your 16th birthday.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in early high school, and we were hanging out with these older guys, and they had a Mustang, right? Me and my best friend, and we were just like racing around the little town.
Racing by the one stoplight over and over.
In the Mustang.
Yes,
Hell yeah.
country roads. And then we ended up at a hotel. Nothing happened, crazily enough, but I ended up drinking like 2 tall boys and like some Jaeger shots and was violently ill in the morning. So bad, like puked all over my friend's house.
Nice.
Didn't make it. So that was my first drunk.
Hell yeah. And then where do we continue from here? Like,
Yeah.
was this like, did it kick off like every day, every weekend,
Yeah. So once I started hanging out with this friend, that was like my first hangout night with her. We ended up doing things like almost every weekend. She was already like pretty into it and had been doing like other stuff for a while, like drugs and experimenting and all that stuff. But when I started hanging out with her, we were like a duo, like, and I just wanted to be around her all the time. So we experimented with some pills, weed, spice, just like not great.
I never got to do spice.
Oh,
I
you
feel like that
didn't
came
get the
out.
pleasure
It was
of
wild.
spice?
It was horrible. Was that okay? So spice was like the fake weed.
Yeah.
But was that the thing that made you like trip balls for like 5 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, no, I take it back. I did do that one time.
Yes.
I did do that one time.
Yes.
I liked it, but didn't at the same time. But I ended up doing like, I remember going into the bathroom at school like in the morning because I got dropped off by the bus super early. And me and her went into the bathroom and like did some Percocet, and I was like, this is so fake. I don't feel anything. But it ended up being like a morning ritual for me, kind of. So I would either like steal some liquor from my parents or just like go meet up with her. And I just kind of partied all throughout high school. I did end up graduating, which is like a miracle. I graduated like 6 months early.
Same.
Oh.
Yeah. It was
yeah.
cool. It was tight. So my parents were super strict though. So even when I graduated, like I didn't have a car. I couldn't just go hang out with people or like go meet up with people really. I had to be like very strict. And I don't know where I was going with that.
Even in like the small town Butler, like what is there to get like the restrictions?
So I don't know. They were just they were so strict with me. They were nervous of me like just doing the wrong things because I was so smart to them, and they didn't want to see me go down like a bad path, which they kind of saw with my like depression that was forming, and like I was starting to get on meds around that time.
Okay.
Right.
So like the whole car thing was like they didn't want me to be like a safety liability on the road. But yeah, so it was kind of mild, still just like partying phase. And then on my 18th birthday, I actually, leading up to my 18th birthday, I had been talking to a guy online in Seattle.
Oh, shit.
And made this whole plan, like no car, no money, no job, no, in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to go to Seattle on my 18th birthday, like no ID.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Only something dumb enough for
Right.
an 18-year-old. I would have done something like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
No, I like plotted with my like long lost grandma who I hadn't talked to in like a very long time, and she like picked me up and wanted to like renegade, get me an ID.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
I ended up getting picked up by my parents and then like
Oh.
got an ID anyways. And then yeah, on my 18th birthday I skedaddled. Got on the plane in Cleveland and went to Seattle.
Yes. Isn't that a grunge band from the 90s? Skedaddle to
Skedaddle to
Skedaddle.
It
Seattle.
should have been.
It should
yeah.
have been, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're... Go ahead.
Yeah, so how did that go? Yeah.
I was there and like, you know that like gut instinct you get sometimes? You're just like, you know something. It was great for about the first 10 minutes. And then like when we got to his house, I was like, this isn't going to work out. Like he wasn't that bad of a person. Like I had no reason to feel that way, but something in me was just like, nope, this isn't going to be good.
How long were you out in Seattle?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So it took 10 minutes to 10 minutes in. Nope, this ain't for me. Oh, how long
2
were you
years
there?
later.
25 years.
I'm
Okay,
very
great.
stubborn. So he had told me previously that he was like on drugs and he was recovered and he was like this great person now, right? And I was like, oh, I'm so proud of you. 2 weeks in, I like found his kit, like his smoking tar kit. And I was like, ooh, what's that? Like, it looks disgusting. Which I was like living with him. He was like fully allowed to buy alcohol. I was just like living it up, no job, like just getting him to buy me alcohol with his money.
Nice.
Just staying at home and watching his 6-year-old. And I found that kit and I was like, ooh, I've experimented before. Like, this might be fun, you know? So one day I just went in the bedroom and I just took a hit of it. Like, I didn't even really know how to do it. I kind of like looked up how to do it.
Sure.
And I immediately passed out for like 5 hours.
Oh,
Sounds
shit.
about right.
And I was like, oh, that's gross. I don't want to do that again.
Right.
Like, not fun.
Yeah.
I felt queasy. I was like, ew. But for some reason, even though I didn't like it the first time, I kept going back to it. And I don't know what that reason is even today. I don't know if I was trying to just lose myself or what was going on, but I kept doing it. And it would it lined up with like a period of like we were fighting. And every time we fought, I would just go steal his stuff and do it and be like, hi, how are you?
I get that though. That's like such an interesting like thing because I think back to my youth sometimes and like how I don't like something, but I do it again
Yeah.
and again
Oh, yeah.
and again, even
Yeah.
though I don't like it. It I don't know. It's weird.
It is
And I don't
weird.
do that with anything else.
No.
Like if it's like a food or like activity I don't like I do it once, I'm like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm cool.
And I never think about it again. But
Right.
when like drugs and alcohol, it's like, you know, the first 23 times weren't great.
Yeah.
It's lucky number 24 that will be the thing that snaps
Right.
it into place for me.
Right. And then eventually it got to the point where just like one day I was like, ooh, I'm feeling kind of sick. It's been a while. Like, what's going on? And it clicked. And I Googled, like, what are withdrawals?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I might have that.
Oh shit.
Yo, that is like, it's. I had a similar thing. I was working at a pizza place, and the first day, like I felt sick like that. It was a Monday. I was working a double, like open to close, and I just felt like shit all day. And I'm like, what is going on with me? And then like the evening manager came in and saw me, and she's like, I think you're withdrawing from drugs. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa! It just like blew my mind. I was like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? If I do these drugs every single day for months, and then one day I don't do it, now I feel shitty? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. No, I was like on the couch, like sick. And I was like, it's the middle of summer. What's going on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah. It was like, I couldn't drive because I still didn't have like a driver's license. I just had an ID, so I had to go walk and pick the kid up from school every day. So I was taking care of this kid while he was out working, and eventually I had to come clean to him and be like, hey, I've been like doing this and now I'm sick and we need to do something about it. which means you need to help me get more.
Right. The Mental Defectives Podcast is brought to you by Milligram's new EP, More Is Always Better. 6 electrifying tracks available on all streaming platforms.
Did he tell you that he was doing it?
No.
So this whole time, so it's like not only
We were
like
both hiding it.
Oh, damn. So now this all comes out,
Yeah.
and it's like, yo, you've been getting it. You need to get me some now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't fair.
Go pay for more of my drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of jobs I would come with him because he was a painter. And I was like, oh, I can be like a strong woman, go up on the ladder and paint some houses. And no, it wasn't for me, but I would be there. I was like, oh, I can't wait for you to get paid.
Us painters know how to score the drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one time, he had like a boss that was just paid him in drugs. He was like a drug dealer and like owned a painting business.
Nice.
convenient.
Yeah.
I like it.
Until rent's due.
So so how'd that conversation go? So then it's like, hey, motherfucker, like,
Yeah.
I know what you're doing, and the only reason I know is because I'm stealing it and I'm also doing it.
Yeah. Now I'm sick.
Yeah.
So here we are. What's the next step? So I don't even know how long it took for me to come out. Probably not that long, because like I was also like irritated that he was like hiding it from me. So I wanted to be like, rip into him a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But I was out there just for like a year and a half, I would say, just like us doing it together and living in his mom's house, and me watching this 6-year-old kid and doing the absolute worst job ever. I'd never been around kids. So, like, it was a whole experience for me. His mom was not in the picture anymore. Like, she was dead. And, like, it was just us. This little messed up family.
Yeah.
And a big dog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You didn't mention the dog.
No.
It doesn't sound as bad now.
No.
Okay, so you're living out here. You're watching the kid. You're both smoking the dope.
Yeah.
And then like where do we go from here? What's next?
Okay, so a couple of times we had fought because I didn't feel like it was fair for me to watch the kid, even though I didn't have a job and he was paying for everything. I didn't feel like that was fair, so we would fight a lot because I was just upset at my situation. Like, here I'm 18, 19, just like struggling for no reason.
Yeah.
I'd convinced myself I couldn't get a job for some reason, like my back hurts or something.
Right.
And it just seemed like too much work. And one day he just sat down and he was like, I'm gonna buy you a plane ticket. Like, you gotta leave. You gotta get out of here. We didn't even really break up. He was just like, you gotta get out of here or we're gonna end up in a car. So he bought me a plane ticket. And my parents, like, I had went through it with my parents because like I left on bad terms with them, and I hadn't talked to them for like at least a year.
Oh.
And the next thing they heard from me was like, hey, I'm coming home. Like, I'm moving in again. Can you pick me up from the airport? And they were like, yeah, sure, come on.
Oh, nice.
Damn. Okay.
Which I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
No
I'm assuming
doubt.
you didn't divulge the heroin habit at this point.
No. Absolutely not. I was clean.
Right.
Which, the one last thing he did for me was get me like 8 Suboxone strips that I could take with me on the plane. And
He was committed to
I was
getting
gonna
your
say,
ass out.
damn,
Yeah, I know. He was like,
set
"You gotta
you up
go."
pretty good.
Yeah, that's a lot more than most would do in
No
that
doubt.
situation.
No doubt.
I was very lucky for meeting this man on the internet.
Yeah. Wild. Which no one said ever.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't stop using until like the morning of. So I was like going through it on that plane,
Oh, yeah.
like going through it.
Not cool.
And I have a fear of plane bathrooms. So I was just kind of like sitting there in my chair.
It's a long flight, too.
Yeah.
I've done several flights from Phoenix to Columbus, like going through it. Like where I'm like touching down in either city and like you think you've seen people run through an airport quickly? Like, no. If I'm like sick enough, I'm just like hauling at Usain Bolting through that airport to go get what I gotta get.
Yeah. I actually, when I got back home, like it was cool. They didn't seem to know that I was acting different. I don't know if it's because I thought I was gone so long. I'm just kind of weird right now. I just broke up with this guy and moved away. But they didn't say anything, so I just took the subs for a while and tried to live a normal life. But I needed a job because now I'm at my parents' where I started. I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
So I need money.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did have like back pain, but I don't know what convinced me that I couldn't have a job, like a normal job. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go work at the strip club. I mean, it seems easy enough. It seems fun. It seems glamorous. Let's do it. It's a lot of money. So I lied to my mom and I told her I got a job at Kroger.
Far stretch.
Working third shift.
Absolutely,
Thursday
third
through
shift.
Sunday.
Third shift stalker.
Fantastic.
And she would drop me off at the Kroger, and the Kroger was located like right down the street.
Yeah.
Wait,
from
this
the
is
club.
a strip club in Butler, Ohio?
Mansfield.
Oh,
Mansfield. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Nice.
only one in Mansfield.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I couldn't be bothered to walk that little bit, so I had someone else like come pick me up every night and drive me there.
Okay.
But I was working there for a little bit and like, you know, going through it and like not using, just doing the subs, like living clean.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dry, but you know, making money. I bought my first car, got my driver's license. My first car was like $1,200 and broke down 3 days later.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then I saved up some money. I got a super bad deal on a Mustang.
Just like the Mustang from when you were in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
The first night.
Oh,
yeah.
man. So
5,000
poetic as fuck.
down. 5,000 down. The salesperson asked if I wanted him to be my sugar daddy,
Oh my God.
and $500 a month and 24% interest for
Oh!
5 years.
Ooh. Ouch.
You just bought a $200,000 Mustang.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Eek.
I was like, car, it's pretty.
Right.
I love that car. Even though I couldn't make the payments, it was super stressful. And I was like, okay, so I need to make more money. It's like this small town strip club isn't doing it for me.
Right.
So I was like, Columbus, I can drive there every night. I got a new car. I started working at Cahoots, which is now torn down. And I worked there for a little bit. It was different. The girls weren't as nice, which was kind of hard to deal with. But it was cool. I was just making my money, living my life. At this point, I had started taking too much of my Suboxone.
Okay. And you had, you got a prescription by this point?
No,
or
I was
you're just
buying
buying
them.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, this is stupid. Like, why am I doing this? So, you know, it led to other stuff.
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
hunt.
Right.
And I didn't know anybody in Columbus. I didn't grow up there. I've never been there. So I was looking for stuff kind of passively at this point, not really like full blown I need it.
Mm-hmm.
But so I was like drinking a little bit here and there, and I was still underage.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 19, 20. And eventually this guy kept coming, and he would like sit down and talk to me, come into work, and he'd be like, well, when are you working next? And he would keep coming in. But I was kind of irritated because like he didn't have no money.
You gotta shut the hell up. The whole.
But then he was like, well, I can get you anything you want. So I was like, oh, you might be valuable.
Right.
He turned into my boyfriend.
Okay.
Very quickly. And I was like getting stuff and like going back home every night, like an hour drive. I got a speeding ticket, my first and only speeding ticket so far. I was going like 130 miles an hour up 71 at 3 a.m. And the cop thought I had stuff in the car. It was just a snack. Like it was a baggie of almonds. He was like, what's that?
Talking about road snacks.
But yeah, I was making the commute, and I was like, well, this is too much gas, too much time, you know, thinking about ways to just move to Columbus. And then one day, my mom had found like my stash. I came home one day, and she was just sitting on my bed and had the stuff around her.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, nope, and walked immediately away. I let her come out of the bedroom just so I could maneuver around her and just pack a little bit of stuff, like pack a suitcase. And I left, no words. Like I was refusing to talk to her.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything to her because I was so ashamed.
Yeah.
So I immediately called the guy, my boyfriend, and I was like, hey, do you have anywhere I could stay? And he was like, yeah, just come move in with me. Move in with me meant move in with me and my brother. His brother was like a Chase banker, had like all this money, lived on Sankis Boulevard in this really nice condo.
Okay.
Small.
Yeah.
And it was very, very, very awkward. I remember taking a shower one time and he like yelled at me. He was like, it's too long.
But
Weird.
But yeah, I moved in with him and immediately it started going downhill. I think once I moved in with him, he knew he had the power. And he became abusive and very controlling.
And is he also supplying the drugs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, he's got you over a barrel. You
Oh,
got,
yeah.
Sure.
He's got
Using
the
my
housing.
car.
The
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And eventually, like, it got to the point where I wanted to leave and he wouldn't let me leave. So I was kind of like stuck.
Yeah.
And he introduced me during that time to crack. And that was like instant love. That was
Right.
like the first time I was like, oh, this is what's it. This is
Oh,
it.
okay.
You know? So that was a problem.
You don't say.
And I didn't know where else to get it.
So the brother's like a successful banker.
Yeah.
But then your like boyfriend guy is just like, does he even have a job, or he's just like?
He worked at O'Charlie's as a server.
Oh, nice. Okay. I got it.
But like he was just like, I don't know why he let him live there. He was an awful person.
Yeah.
And I really don't know why he would let me in there. I don't think he wanted me in there. I think I was like kept a secret because he was never home when I was there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds stressful.
Very stressful.
Yeah.
Sounds super.
Yeah.
super
Sounds stressful.
Yeah. And he was my only like source.
Right.
He was the only person I could get stuff from because I wasn't from here.
Yeah.
So he had me in a real chokehold.
Yeah.
So, well, one day, I have a story. One day I was just home, just chilling, waiting for him to come home from O'Charlie's. And I decided I wanted to go through the neighbors' houses.
Yes.
Oh.
I just learned the card trick where you like put the card in and like slide it.
Right.
And I was like,
Right.
ooh, let's try this out.
Don't do that. Don't try that at home, kids.
Yeah.
So I like went next door and went to the back porch and I like broke into somebody's condo, right? It was just after Christmas. And I just took like a camera, all the electronics.
Oh, you
like,
grinched their asses.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. No.
Hell yeah.
Grinched.
I stole like 3 candy bars, like some cheese.
Made myself a sandwich.
I
while
was
I
doing it for the sport, honestly. It was awful. That's so awful. But, and then I like went upstairs and I started getting into the good stuff because I saw like pills and like I was in his bedroom. And then I went to the second bedroom and someone was in there.
Oh, shit.
And I ran.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
shit.
They didn't hear you like going through the house?
He was asleep. He like woke up and the first thing he saw was me.
Oh, shit.
So I ran.
Yeah.
And I like took my stuff real quick and their stuff and like I went out the back
At that
door.
point, technically, it's your stuff.
Yeah. Ran out the back door and like I think I just went directly through our back door. Like I went out and then around and then in and I just like went in our bedroom and like closed the door and I was like, oops. And then like the cops came and were like next door and then they knocked on ours and the brother answered and I was like, oh good. He looks like a good man.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And like nothing ever happened.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Damn.
I mean, I would never think in a million like if we got robbed, I wouldn't assume like, oh, it's got to be the people that live right next door.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're the second or third person we've had on here that's robbed their neighbors.
Really?
That's hilarious.
I've heard it's
Yeah.
the stupidest thing to do, but
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because you walk, they see you coming in and out of the house every day.
But like you said, they wouldn't suspect it.
right. I mean, I
Don't
got
rob
away
your
with it.
Do
neighbors.
I need to
Do
rob
not
my
rob your
neighbors?
neighbors. Do not rob your neighbors.
Interesting. Okay.
Eventually we got kicked out by his brother. So we.
Did the brother suspect that it was you?
Oh no.
Oh,
Nobody
Damn,
did.
so you got away scot-free.
Except my boyfriend knew, and I didn't tell him, but he knew.
Oh, he just put
But
it
he knew.
together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he wasn't even home at the time. I was like, oh yeah, these are presents from like my family.
Right.
And then he ended up pawning a bunch of them, like stealing them from me and pawning like the laptop, the camera I found, like several electronics. And the pawn shop actually charged him with receiving stolen property.
Ooh.
And I was like, that's what you get.
Don't fuck with me.
Right.
Yeah, so the brother kicked us out.
That is the
and-
perfect crime.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, but that's
No.
the perfect crime. You got away scot-free, and then you deflected any kind of like suspicion on you, and then you set someone up to take the fall.
Yeah, I was hot stuff.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize we were interviewing a criminal mastermind today.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We ended up living in my Mustang, and we would just like go up and down Cleveland Avenue, and it turned into a really, really, really bad situation. He became like uber abusive and controlling, and every time I had money, it was his money. Even when I was still working at the strip club, which I eventually had to stop doing because I was on drugs and it just doesn't work out.
Right.
He would steal money then, and I ended up turning to prostitution. So he would like follow me around and like ride his bike and like wave at me from across the street, and I was like, oh, okay.
It's like a safety precaution,
No,
or just
absolutely
like a,
not.
Okay.
To see if I made money, and then so he could take it from me. And I eventually, like, one day he either like beat me up so bad or like took my car or something. Something made me mad, and I was like, I'm gonna call the drug dealer. And I called him, and he was like, oh yeah, you can come crash over here. And he like hid me in the attic, and like my boyfriend at the time came over and was like yelling, and they were fighting downstairs, and he was like, "Where is she?" And I was hiding upstairs the whole time, but like he ended up leaving. And the guy like fed me drugs for like a while. So I got like really hooked.
Ooh.
And then he took it away. And he was like, "You got to make money now."
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So
that's fucked.
yeah, no. And
That's
then
horrible.
the girls there were like, "Okay, I'll show you how to do it. Like, I'll get you together. Like, let's do this." And it was just this big, long battle. I thought it lasted for 2 years. I went to like treatment and I put it together. I was only homeless for a year.
Damn.
But you're just so like out of it. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah,
like,
you don't.
It's crazy how like the time just like disappears when you're using like that.
I thought it was so long, and it was only 1 year.
But still, that's
Yeah.
a long time to be
Yeah.
out.
2 winters.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, because I started in the winter, had summer, and then ended in the winter. So there was a lot that went on. He crashed my car 3 times because like it was weird. Like after I went to go stay with that guy, my ex would just kind of follow me around and like ask people where I've been, and people would come to me and be like, "Hey, he's looking for you," and we would like meet kind of by chance, but I think it was by design. He would like take my car and run around and do stuff while I'm out walking the streets, and he would just like take my car for days at a time. He crashed it 3 times. The last time it was just totaled. It was awful. And we ended up just leaving it abandoned. I've never heard about that loan again. I still owe on it, but nobody's ever contacted me.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just like,
Yeah, I know,
dumbfounded, like how you.
Got away with that
Yeah.
one too.
Right. I don't know. I'm really lucky.
Hell yeah.
Good on you,
Well,
right?
fuck them for giving you a 25%
Right, no.
Yeah,
to an
that's
18-year-old.
true.
That's an
That's
asshole
true.
move on their part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They deserve it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kind of wandered around on Cleveland Avenue for a year straight. I remember one winter I was like walking around with like no boots on, just like barefoot,
Oh.
Damn.
just doing what I could to get the next high. Yeah, I ended up going to jail my first time for disorderly conduct, which was like a really light intro because it was like a day and then they let you out.
Yeah.
And then the next couple times it just kept getting to like more time I was facing. And I was being like a total wuss. I like tapped out a couple times, like put me in the separate room. Like I don't want to be in here with these people, like withdrawing. It was like a routine I got into. Like every time I went to jail, I'd be like, "Come get me."
What's the separate room?
Isolation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can just ask to go in there?
No, you have to say you're gonna like.
Oh.
Ah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You gotta say, one of these.
Got
okay.
it.
Got it.
Got it.
Makes sense.
And I think it was the 3rd time I got introduced to Catch Court, which
Okay.
is like a court program for girls that went through what I went through. And they saved my life. Not the first time, of course not, but it was like the 2nd time, I think. Yeah, maybe 3rd. Because the first time they sent me down to Waverly, like way down south.
Yeah.
I was like in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, I don't know anyone. I ended up the first time they sent me down there, I hitchhiked back to Columbus.
Oh shit.
So like 3 hours? It's like you think of hitchhiking as like something that happened in the 70s. Like that's how I think about
Yeah,
hitchhiking.
right.
But I don't think like people hitchhike post 2010.
Oh, they still do.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I used to do it all the time.
Hey, Mental Defectives.
Are you getting married?
If so, we can officiate your wedding for the low, low price of $500.
You have to be in Ohio.
Because Jerry and I are both licensed ministers in the state of Ohio. If interested, email us at mentaldefectivespodcast@gmail.com.
Now let's get back to the episode.
So the Catch Court, it's for. I'll let you explain
Yeah.
it. But so it it takes like 2 or 3 times, and this is like a treatment in lieu of conviction type thing?
Yeah, so basically I was facing, I think 30 days, which was like forever for me, right?
For an
Sure.
active drug addict, that might as well be 30 years.
That's a sentence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, are you serious? Like, why are they giving me that much time? And my public defender at the time was like, this is a great opportunity. You need to take it. And I was like, I don't want to go. But I was like, she was like, well, they can get you out early. And I was like, let's go.
Sold.
Right.
So I went there and I was like really fighting it, you know, and I was still like kind of into my ex and, you know, wanted to go back to him. Because like this whole time I loved him. Even though he had done all this stuff to me, like I still loved him. And I was like, well, I just want to get back to Columbus. I want to be around, you know, the scene, and I want to go get my high. So I left and I hitchhiked, and it took another arrest for me to go back. And I ended up going to a treatment in Columbus. And with Catch Court, like, Catch Court is a program for human trafficking survivors who are also addicted to drugs and facing, you know, some serious time. Some of those girls were facing years. And they really helped. They provided you with life skills. They told you a lot of what you could and couldn't do. You had stayaways, which were like people you couldn't be around.
Okay.
Areas were stayaways too, like you couldn't go to certain areas. So like while you were in treatment, like if you had to go to Walmart, they would go to the other Walmart.
Yeah.
Just so you wouldn't go there. And I went to this house in Columbus, and it was kind of like a restricted, like nobody really knew the address, like nobody's supposed to know the address. It was like very safe because some of
Sure.
these girls had serious people after them.
Sure.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And I stayed there for a year. I ended up doing so good. Like I had a job, I had a car, and I was going to go move into a sober house.
Nice.
And it was like that first little taste of freedom because they were also so strict.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like the parent situation, I was like, it's time, let's go. And I think the sober house like made me so mad because one time I like didn't sign out and they're like, you're supposed to sign out. I'm like, I'm an adult. So I ended up just like going back to it for a little bit. I think I was gone for, I don't know, 6 months, I want to say.
Is there any like recovery aspect to the Catch Quarter, like when you were in that house? Are they doing like meetings, or like it's just like
the court program just oversees kind of like what house you're at, how many meetings you're going to. Like you had to get meeting slips signed.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you know, you had to go to court every week and check in, which is kind of like your probation check-in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this whole time you're on probation, and the houses that you're staying at report to Catch Court. So the house I was at, like, you know, we had to go to groups for like 8 hours a day. Like I was going to Amethyst. And you had to like go to a meeting when they say you had to go to a meeting. You had to do chores. You had to like clean up after yourself and get along with the other girls and like live in other rooms with these girls. Go grocery shopping. They would just like slowly introduce you
turn
to,
you
like,
into a functional member of
Right.
society?
yeah,
Yep.
have some kind of schedule. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm in public this whole time. Yeah, so I did that for a year, and then I went to the sober house, and then it all went downhill.
What do you think is that what you were going to
Yep.
ask? Yep. Go for it.
No, that's fine. Yeah, what was the moment that you were like, well, yeah, I'm just gonna go back and get high again?
Yeah, so funnily enough, like, I'm very emotional. My car broke down, and I was like, yep, let's go. Like, it didn't even break down fully. It was like the engine light came on.
What?
And I was like on my way to see my probation officer, and I was like, well, this is the day.
One little thing goes wrong, and it's like, I'm gonna throw it all away.
Yep.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
So I went out and I got high. And that time I had a car. And I was like, okay, I'm high, I'm driving, caught an OVI.
Oops.
Nice.
He made me do like the little test, like the cop made me do the sobriety test, and I was like, I nailed it, and he was like, yep, you're coming with us.
Yep.
And that time I was in jail for like 30 days, I think. And, you know, the catch court's trying to get me out. They're like, man, you know, you really got to do something this time. And during that 6 months that I was kind of out, I was like, oof, you know, I hit some pretty low rock bottoms. And I was like, yeah, I'm just kind of over it. Like, I'm 20, I think I was 21. And I was like, this is not life.
Yeah.
So they sent me to Waverly again, but this time I was kind of like, all right, let's try it. And I got sent to a different house in Waverly. They had a couple houses in like that area, but this one was just like 20 girls in this like big house, and we were just like all going for it, you know. It was a shorter program, so it was only like 6 months, and then they move you into like the less strict house. And I was figuring my life out. I really gave it effort, and I was like, okay, I think I'm ready for school, because I went to the less strict house. And all my counselors were like, absolutely not. Like, what are you thinking? You just got to like this less strict house.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm going to school. They were like, how about you do online school? I was like, I'm going. So I signed up for CCAD. And
Columbus Academy of Art and Design.
yes.
Very prestigious institute.
Yes.
Yes, expensive.
Yes.
And I did all the things, like I got the money to, you know, do the application fee and the housing deposit, because I wanted to live in a dorm, you know, I wanted the full experience. And I got all that stuff together, and, you know, against the counselor's best wishes and like against everybody's advice, I went to school. I just left treatment one day, and one of because Catch Court has mentors. They like help you, older women who like kind of help you figure life out.
Okay.
They're kind of like a friend. And my mentor came and picked me up. We loaded everything into her car, and I moved into my dorm. And
the mentor was on board with this move, or this was like
yeah, no, she was great.
Okay.
She was like, you seem ready.
Cool.
I was like, cool.
Nice.
So I get to school, and I'm like, okay, I need some kind of like responsibility. Like, I need to go, like, you know, continue on my recovery and not just do school, because I knew where that would get you. Like, can't just like go for it, you know,
Yeah.
dry, because I've tried that before and it doesn't end up well, and this is a really expensive decision. Like, my parents couldn't help, so I was paying for it. And that was really motivating.
Nothing like spending your own money to motivate.
Right. Got some skin in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I go to my first meeting, and I, you know, make some friends, make some connections, like get out there, get into Columbus, see a different side of Columbus that I didn't get to see before.
Yeah.
Because, like, my experience was all dark and dreary and, like, oh, the whole city is awful.
Cleveland Avenue is not exactly the
The pinnacle of Columbus.
Yes. What a PC way to put that. I love it. Shout out to the Linden area. We love you guys.
Yes, I live there now. So I just kind of had a different viewpoint of like this city that I had hated so much because I had gone through so many bad things in. And, you know, I continued on with school a little bit. I got a job. I started saving money. And then I just decided like school wasn't for me. It was too expensive. I wasn't really learning what I wanted to learn. I feel like jewelry was a really like niche thing there.
Yeah, I was going to say, because at CCAD you were doing more like painting was like your big kind of thing.
Yeah, it was just it was like not what I was feeling. I felt like I was spending a lot of money on something I could be learning in real life. You know? So I dropped out in junior year. I just started junior year, and I actually had started my business in sophomore year. So I was working 2 jobs. I had a business, and I was going to school full time.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And it's like, I remember when I heard that you dropped out of art school, and it's like, I think like typically if I hear like, oh, like so and so dropped out of college, you're like, oh man, that's terrible. What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
But it's like they dropped out of art school. It's like, oh, they saved themselves $250,000 in student loan debts. And we're like,
right.
good call.
Cool.
Yeah.
My payments are so low right now because I only had a little bit of debt, you know?
I was gonna say that's the one. The getting out of the car payment is great, but like getting out of the school
Getting out of
payment,
that-
that's your next one you
Yeah.
gotta work on.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Getting there. We're getting there.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, and like my boss at the time, love her. I was working at Maker Social, which is like a craft DIY bar. It's super great. And I was assistant manager there for a little bit before it got kind of overwhelming. But anyways, my boss had sent me flowers when she heard I dropped out. She was like, "Congrats on dropping out."
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I go through ups and downs now. That's why I kind of jump around from job to job because I get bored easily. I mean,
But the jewelry thing is like the mainstay. Talk about that. What's the name of the jewelry company? And
yeah, so the name of my company is Handmade by FG. And I just opened an Etsy shop. Haven't done much with it yet, but that one is Glitter by Goldman on Etsy. And I make handmade wire wrapped gemstone concoctions. A little bit of everything: earrings, pendants, bracelets, necklaces, all kinds of stuff. I do custom requests. I do all kinds of stuff. And then right now I actually work at a job in jewelry. So I'm like living, breathing, eating jewelry right now.
Nice.
I don't know that you can eat jewelry.
Some of them look pretty.
Can we fact check that?
Some of them look pretty crunchy. We joke about that.
And so all the stuff you work on is wire wrapped?
Yeah, I do. So I do mostly wire wrapped. I also have. So I have 2 studios in my apartment. I've kind of taken over half the apartment.
Nice.
And the upstairs one is wire wrapping and kind of like admin stuff. That's where the printer's at. That's where I put the computer, like all that stuff. Because wire wrapping is a little bit more compact. And then downstairs in the basement, I have my bench, which is where I solder and use fire and like cut and saw metal and like hammer bezels.
I know what
yeah.
all of this means.
Yes.
I was gonna say.
My wife is also a jeweler.
Oh my God, I love that.
So she's a manager at and runs a jewelry repair shop. So
my God.
I have learned much about the jewelry industry. We'll have to
Yes.
chat about this later.
Absolutely. I would love that. But right now, I'm the logistics coordinator for N&J Designs, which is also a small business. But we do more engagement style stuff for like $14K, like gold and platinum. A little bit higher end than mine. Because right now I work in sterling silver. But yeah, so I've just been like full force in the jewelry world. I have a boyfriend. He's amazing.
No, I don't know if I'd go that far.
He's a great guy. He is a great
For
guy.
the record, I put them together. Because no, this is facts.
This
and
is
I have the receipts to back this up.
The receipt.
We were at a dinner after a meeting, and I was sitting across from you. And there was like 30 people at least. I was sitting across from you, and Eric was next to me. And the two of them were like chatting a little too much. You know what I'm
You got
saying?
a vibe.
I was
picking up the vibe.
I was picking up the vibes.
Right.
And like, I don't know how I did it. I just like injected myself into the conversation, and I was like, oh, also Eric's a hell of a skateboarder. He fucking rips, bro. And I'm like shoving my phone in her face, and it's like him like carving through this bowl and Skate Naked or Dodge or somewhere. Right. Eric, he's a great skateboarder. We'll have him on at some point too.
Yeah.
And I put that situation together.
Well, look at you. Aren't
So
you just something?
I think at some point you mentioned he was an artist, and I was like, oh, are you?
Yeah. Because I led with skateboarding because he's such a good skateboarder. She's like, oh, this will do it, no problem. But she like wasn't really feeling that. And I was like, oh, here's some paintings. Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
That's what sealed the deal.
And then we like traded Instagrams, and I like stalked him, and then I messaged him that night on Instagram, and I was like, hey.
How many Y's were on the hay?
Probably 3.
Ooh, damn.
That's serious business.
That is serious. Okay, so you've got the Etsy store. And what was the other one that you were selling on?
So I just have Etsy for online.
Okay.
But right now I do pop up at local markets.
Yeah.
So the craft market is just like all over the place in Columbus. There's so many craft markets, like it's booming. And you can pretty much be in any area you want any day of the week. Like there's always something. So I just apply when I'm feeling like it. Like right now I'm taking a break, which I can do.
Nice.
Fair.
It's your business. Do what you want.
Absolutely.
But I kind of just like not willy-nilly, but I research it and I just like apply to various markets and just pop up around town. So I bought like a tent, tables, all the displays, like all that stuff. And I have Eric to help me.
God bless the man.
Yes.
Hey, Mental Defectives. Would you like to advertise on our podcast?
If so, email us at mentaldefectivespodcast@gmail.com so we can help you make a lot of money.
Now let's get back to the episode.
All right.
Do you get a lot of business through those pop-ups?
Yeah, so
exposure?
I get a lot of people that follow me, or like I ran out of business cards. I have to get more business cards.
It's a good sign.
Yeah,
that's a good sign.
Yeah. I get a lot of people that ask me about customs. I'm still waiting on them to reach out.
I'm sure the percentage of people that are like asking about a custom piece of jewelry versus all the way following through is probably like a wide margin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do get a lot of people that are like, oh my goodness, your stuff is so beautiful. Like, do you make all this? And I'm like, yeah, and that feels so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just a tent full of my little creations. And people are like, oh my God, this is amazing. And like, I don't know, like, if you've witnessed this, but like when a girl sees like something really extra sparkly and she just like stops and she's like, I love when they do that. That makes my entire day.
That's awesome.
Just ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching up here.
Well, like, and also it's just like so pure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're getting like the unfiltered reaction.
Yeah, that's something you created and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It feels really good. So, I'm doing a Worthington market here coming up. It's a really big one. So I'm kind of just like waiting until that happens in September. And then I'll probably do some more stuff. But
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Do you see like the sales like translate? It's more online or it's more through the markets or?
So working in jewelry and then having my own business is kind of weird sometimes. But it gives me a lot of insight because like her business is way bigger than mine. So I can kind of see what's going on, like how she handles stuff, like, because she goes to shows too and does the online. Right now, I'm not really set up on online yet. It takes a lot. You know, you got to take pictures of every single product and like update quantities and like renew listings and just like create the listing and the description. Like the description is the hardest part.
I know. Yeah. It's like, how do you describe? I mean, beyond like here's the stone and here's the thing,
I've started copy pasting like some things, so we're getting
smart.
there. Yeah, Word document is forming.
I do that with this podcast all the time.
Yeah,
everything is just copy paste.
Yeah, but I'll get there one day. I'm just it just takes so long. I'll do like a couple listings a day until I like get somewhere. But for right now, I really enjoy the personal aspect of like seeing an actual person come up to me. And, like, me being able to talk face-to-face and, like, show them exactly what I have.
Yeah. That's super sweet. So is the end goal to eventually do this, like, full-time, your deal? Like,
I'm not so sure about that yet. Because it feels like, I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe.
Fair.
But I think I like it more as, like, a lesser responsibility.
Not as a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fine to have something to like grow into also. I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people start something, maybe a podcast, maybe they like irritate their wife with talks of like, it's going to blow up and then we'll quit our jobs and I'll be a stay-at-home like podcasting husband type person. And,
Yeah.
that's
How
not
you sold
always
it to me.
Yeah. Eventually we'll get there. Okay, what advice would you have for a young woman looking to get sober, especially if they're trying to they're needing to get out of like a dangerous or an unsafe environment, relationship?
Yeah. And my advice would be to not be so hateful of the world. Because, like, I don't know if it was my major depression or what was happening, but, like, I just assumed that every single person was bad, which can keep you safe. But at the same time, it kind of robs you of, you know, meeting a person that might change your life. And just keeping an open mind. Everybody deserves to have a good life. Everybody deserves to be happy. And if you're not happy, then something's got to change.
What a solid answer.
Bro, dropping
Damn.
bars out here. God
I
damn.
felt that one.
Every time people
Damn.
have like a great, like a wildly unique
Yeah.
perspective on that question, I fucking love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably my favorite part
That's-
of doing this. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So any advice on somebody with your infinite wisdom of jewelry getting into jewelry?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard.
It's so hard.
Don't give up. Oh my gosh. So I was actually at the Intergem show, which was at the Expo Center, and I was helping, you know, one of my boss's friends run his booth. And he told me that there's not a lot of jewelers that are like first generation.
Oh.
Like it's a lot of like family businesses that are like 6th, 7th generation. Like they've been doing this. That's all they know.
Right.
Like that's all their family knows. There's not a lot of new jewelers doing this stuff. So as long as you stick with it and you have that passion and you keep going, no matter what it takes, then, you know, you can be really successful. So, I mean, I have my really, really hard days where I'm like, I just can't.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can't email this person. I can't like, I can't touch wire right now. Like I'm gonna puke.
Right.
And real quick again, what was the, I don't want to mess this up. What was the name of the Etsy shop where people,
Yeah.
if I want to get a piece of wire wrap jewelry from Faith, where do I go? How do I do it?
Yeah. So the shop name is Glitter by Goldman.
Glitter by Goldman.
Yeah. And then my Instagram is Handmade by FG, and so is my Facebook. And I have all those links in my Instagram bio.
Hell yeah.
Perfect.
We'll throw them up on the screen
Yeah.
description and stuff too. Faith, thank you so much for coming on. You crushed it. Last thing before we get out of here, I know you're a huge fan of watching skate videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, were you a bigger fan? Do you prefer the 9 Club? Are you like the SLS? Like, are you like the throwback skate videos? I know you're a big fan of Baker 3. We're planning on getting Andrew Reynolds on at some point. I know you think he has the cleanest frontside flip in the game. But I just wanted to see, are you like a Dern Brothers girl? What's your favorite skateboard YouTube channel? That's all the time we have for today. It's a Mental Defectives podcast. Milligram, Jerry with a G. Faith, buy some jewelry. We'll see you next time.